The Kumaon region belongs to the middle ranges of the central Himalayas and falls within the recently formed state of Uttarakhand on the northwestern frontier of the Indian subcontinent. Besides holding together the most picturesque landscape and overwhelming views of Mother Earth, the region also witnesses the enduring struggle of the inhabitants in an ode to meet their basic needs and to hold ground amidst challenging conditions. The conditions are severe, the climate unfavorable, the resources scanty, and for many remote villages, it is a long way to the motorable road. The majority of the families in most such villages are dependent on agriculture carried out on very small land holdings. Most of these families can grow only 2 crops a year or a maximum of 3 crops in 2 years. Usually, the yield is barely enough for their sustenance throughout the year. The only other predominant activity is restricted to animal husbandry and collecting fodder and firewood, mostly for self-consumption. Electricity in most of the interior villages is non-existent. Some of those villages that have electricity lines suffer from chronically erratic transmission failures. The only option left with people is to use pine bark and kerosene oil lamps for lighting and fire for cooking. The genesis of Avani came about in the context of the severe problems and needs of these far-flung villages in the region. Avani started its work with the dissemination of solar energy in 1997 as the Kumaon chapter of the Barefoot College, Tilonia, Rajasthan. Avani was finally registered in 1999. Soon after, Avani also realized the slow disappearance of the traditional art of textile weaving from the region. It is with this vision that the first weaving center was set up in the remote village of Digoli in 1998. Since then, it has become a role model adopted in many other villages.
In the course of our work, we took technology, especially solar lights, to many rural families. And then we went into the revival of traditional craft of weaving and spinning of this area. Now that enterprise related to textiles and natural products grew into a very strong entity by itself. So in 2005, we established Earthcraft, which is an artisans cooperative owned by them. The purpose was that the ownership and the stakeholders within this enterprise should be the artisans themselves. The second part that we focused on is local skills, local people and local resources. So everything, this entire enterprise is managed by people from here who've been trained at Avani, who've learnt on the job, and it uses traditional skills of hand spinning, hand weaving. The purpose was that how do we re-establish, how do we sort of bring back value to a local skill, which the younger generation find to be not so useful anymore.
The journey of the silk fabric starts with raising cocoons. To enhance the silk production, Earthcraft has reintroduced 2 species of trees to become host to the silkworms. These trees are native to this area, but were mostly consumed as cattle fodder. Other steps are being taken as a part of the sericulture initiative to encourage cultivation of different types of silk cocoons by farmers on their land currently lying as wasteland. These cocoons are then cleaned and treated before the making of yarn through spinning on drop spindles or spinning wheels. Earthcraft also introduced solar-powered spinning wheels in 2010. Spun yarn is then dyed into a variety of colors before weaving into fabric. All dyes that are used are made from locally available natural plants and trees and are grown by local farmers who sell them to the cooperative.
As our work with textiles became more and more strong and we explored the subject of natural dyeing, we started collecting a lot of local plants to do the dyeing for textiles. One of which is an invasive species of this area. In fact, it's the number 3 invasive species of Asia, Eupatorium, which we have been using for textile dyeing for a long time now. And then we thought, can we find a way of using this plant in a larger quantity than we can consume? So we looked at extracting the dye principle in the form of extract or pigment and to supply it as powder to other textile units within the country and abroad.
Finally, the dyed yarn is ready to be woven into the fabric. Traditional systems of weaving using wooden hand looms have been adopted, and decentralized weaving centers have been set up by Earthcraft over the years. Traditionally, the Bora community in Kumaon uses waste looms for weaving hemp fabrics. As the demand for these fabrics is decreasing, the use of waste looms too is decreasing. Avani has taken a small step to revive the use of waste looms for weaving wool and silk fabrics. Over the years, many products of Earthcraft have found a place in the high fashion in India and overseas, bringing back returns to the local workers and welfare to the villagers. Also, the experience in the use of plant-based dye material in textile coloring opened a new stream of opportunity to extract pigments which are used to make paints and crayons. Successful experiments have already been carried out while exploring applications in cosmetics and creating wood stains. The natural painting colors have received an overwhelming response from the painting community and major cities of the country.
Let's say the product is fair trade, it's zero waste, and it follows only ecological processes of production, which begins with rainwater harvesting and ends with wastewater recycling. So at every stage, we make sure that it goes back into a loop. So we are not adversely impacting the soil or the water. So the product is 100% eco-friendly, and we make sure that the artisans receive a fair wage in the village.
Till today, Earthcraft is working in more than 50 villages and has employed more than 1,100 artisans in the textile program alone in the districts of Bhageshwar and Pithoragarh.
मेरा नाम रेवती है, मैं ग्राम दिगोली में रहती हूँ। मेरा पोस्ट ऑफिस देवल विचराल, डिस्ट्रिक्ट बागेश्वर है। मैं 8-9 साल पहले से ये अवनी में जुड़ी हूँ। पहले मैं घर में ही थी, घर का ही काम करती थी। फिर उसके बाद तो अवनी में आई, मैं तो यही काम करती हूँ, तो खुद कमा के खुद अपने पैरों पे खड़ी हूँ।
मैं अवनी में 1.5 साल से काम कर रही हूँ। मैंने अवनी में स्टॉक और बिनाई तकनीकी सीख ली है। तकनीकी सीखा, स्टॉक कार्य सब करती हूँ और गांव में जाके कटाई करवाती हूँ। और पहले मुझे घर से पैसे मांगने पड़ते थे अपनी पढ़ाई के लिए, लेकिन अब मैं अपना खर्चा खुद, कॉलेज का पूरा खर्चा निकाल लेती हूँ।
इसका नाम राधा है और ये दिघौली गांव में रहती है। इसको बोलना नहीं आता है और ये अवनी में जुड़े से 8 साल हो गए हैं और पहले इसको कुछ काम नहीं आता था। यहाँ आके हम लोगों ने इसे इशारा करके सिखाया। अब ये जो बता देते हैं सारा काम कर लेती है और अपने लिए अपना खर्चा पूरा निकाल लेती है।
Women are the backbone of the hills. 98% of the participants of the artisans are women. And for us, that's a very, very important segment of our society here. And they have become empowered. They are working almost for 7-8 years. They have educated their children, looked after all the expenses in the family. And the whole confidence building that's happened has been a beautiful process to watch for us.
Avani has set itself the mandate of working in the Command region only and has strived hard to be a resource institution equipped to train people so that similar models of sustenance can be replicated in other areas of need.